Good evening. Welcome to our Christmas Eve candlelight service. My name is Luna Ortega Huizinga, and I am a member at DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church. Unitarian Universalism is a faith tradition committed to creating a just and flourishing world for all people. Our Universalist theology tells us that every person is worthy of love. Thus, when we say, whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here, this is our message of love to you, inviting your whole self into this space to help us co-create a world centered on our values. We invite you to learn more about us and consider joining this community to enact our values of equity, justice, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. Now, if you are online, I invite you to greet each other through the chat. And if you are present here, I invite you to turn to someone you did not come with and greet them with a wave and a good morning, good evening greeting.
We light our chalice for possibility made manifest, for love come to earth in the life of each child born, for incarnate made imminent so we might recreate the world as beloved community. On this, the last day of Advent, we first relight the candle for hope. Hope is an active practice, not guaranteed, but rather a seed we tend to in our hearts. Our second candle is relit for peace. In a world of conflict and strife, peace is one of the many things we hope for and one of the many things that calls for our active participation. Our third candle is relit for joy. Joy is not empty or hollow. It is the thrill of the first snowflake, the wonder of the holiday season, the spark in a young child's eye. We relight the fourth candle for love. This is not love as some sappy sentiment, lacking substance or proof. This is love of the highest order, calling us to our best selves. Finally, we light the Christ candle, love incarnate, love come to earth for all to see, love as a model of humility and possibility for all around us. The Christ candle tells us that Jesus is here. Whether we believe in Jesus as the Son of God, a prophetic human being, or the full possibility of our humanity, we know in this season of mystery that full liberation is possible. We celebrate the possibilities of hope, peace, joy, and love brought to earth. We too can bring beloved community here.
Tomorrow marks the first day of Hanukkah. Hanukkah is an 8-day Jewish holiday known as the Festival of Lights. In the 2nd century BCE, the Holy Land was ruled by the Seleucids, the Syrian Greeks, who tried to force the people of Israel to accept Greek culture and beliefs instead of the Jewish faith and practices already present in the area. Against all odds, a small band of faithful but poorly armed Jews, led by Judah the Maccabee, defeated one of the mightiest armies on earth, drove the Greeks from the land, reclaimed the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, and rededicated it to the service of God. When they sought to light the temple's menorah, the 7-branched candelabrum, they found only a single container of olive oil, only enough for 1 day. However, they lit the menorah anyway, and the 1-day supply of oil lasted for 8 days until new oil could be prepared under conditions of purity. To commemorate and publicize the miracle, the sages instituted the festival of Hanukkah. On the first night of Hanukkah, we light the first candle using the Shamash, or helper candle, and we say, "Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has granted us life, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this occasion." Good evening, all, and welcome to this place of love, this place of communal flourishing. We gather this evening to open our hearts, to expand our minds, and to transform ourselves by seeing the sacred within each other on this Christmas Eve. Please rise as you are willing and able to sing hymn number 253, "O Come All Ye Faithful."
All From the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible, which scholars recognize as the most accurate rendition of the original text, the book of Luke, chapter 2, verses 1 through 20, which today we might call the Christmas story. In those days, a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration and was taken while Quirinius was governor of Syria. All went to their own towns to be registered. Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and family of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged, and who was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child. And she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in bands of cloth, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place in the guest room. Now in that same region, there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger." And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace among those whom he favors." When the angel had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us." So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known what had been told them about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. And Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, just as it had been told them.
Please join me in a time of prayer. Spirit of life that goes by so many names, Spirit of love that has taken so many shapes on our earth over the millennia of human habitation here, we open our hearts to make room for you. With the innocence and imagination of a child, help us to hear the beauty and the magic in the Christmas story. Let us feel the love that surrounded the Holy Family and allow that love to heal the cold and unsheltered parts of ourselves, the parts that are lonely and on the road. Whatever may bring sorrow into our lives at this time, let us feel the presence of a humble community, a community that offers warmth and a shelter from life's hardships, that offers companionship for our journeys. Spirit of hope, God of our understanding, slow our minds as we contemplate the story of a poor family, a child born homeless yet adored by the wise ones, a child recognized as possessing the holiness and the promise of love for which every human heart hungers, and of which every human heart is capable. The Roman Empire is many centuries away from us, yet we too know what it is to live in the midst of an empire fraught with domination of peoples and land. We too know what it is to live amid the struggles of too many simply to survive, let alone be respected. We too know what it is to live in a time of division and power struggle with the threat of persecution looming. Spirit of creativity, stream as a conduit through our beings. Let us follow the light of your infinite possibilities toward what surprising good thing may happen next in our strange and wondrous universe, our blue-green marble of Earth, our continent teeming with diverse peoples and creatures. Help us to ready ourselves for the role we might play in the dramas of our day. We open our hearts and minds, inviting in holy wisdom, humility, and strength for the work ahead. Consecrate us in courage and community as we seek to birth something new, and yet something so old as we prepare to be midwives in the rebirth of love in our own unfolding story. May it be so. As tomorrow marks the beginning of Hanukkah, we will be also celebrating some bits of Hanukkah, including this very traditional Hanukkah song, number 223, Rock of Ages, Let Our Song. Vera will play this song through once. Please rise as you are willing and able to sing this song after the one time through. Our time together is a story from a few years ago. About 30 years ago, in the small town of Billings, Montana, a family was getting ready for the holidays, like many of us do this time of year. They were putting up all of their decorations. For this family, that included the menorah, for they were Jewish. They placed the menorah in their windowsill and then went to have dinner. While in the midst of dinner, they heard a loud crash, like glass shattering, and went out to find out what had happened. When they entered the living room, they realized that someone had thrown a rock through their living room window, hitting the menorah and knocking it to the ground. The family called the police to file a report. The police shared with the family that the police department had been responding to a number of incidences that were hate crimes. Some Native Americans had their homes spray painted with insults. The African American church had received threats. Hate crimes are things that happen to people because they're different. In Billings, Montana, these crimes all happened to people who had been hurt for not being white, Western European people. In other words, for being Native American, African American, and Jewish. When the community had heard about what happened to this Jewish family, they decided they needed to hear what happened for themselves. And so the family told the story of Hanukkah for the community at a gathering. A long, long time ago, the Jews living in the Middle East were threatened by a large and powerful nation called the Seleucids. They were attempting to take over the land and forcing them to adopt their culture. And a group of Jews called the Maccabees fought the Seleucids against great odds and retook their land. They went to the temple that night to light the menorah, but only found enough oil for one night. They lit it anyway, and miraculously, the menorah stayed lit for 8 nights. The menorah has 8 candles for each night and a 9th helper candle. Lighting these candles at Hanukkah reminds the Jewish people of the victory of the Maccabees. It was a holy night of freedom for the Jewish people. After the family told their story to their community, the townspeople decided that hate didn't belong in their community. The community talked about ways that they could support those who had experienced hate. The local minister then shared the story of another community that had come together in the midst of hate. In World War I, the German Nazis invaded Denmark like they did so many other nations. And like they did wherever they went, the German Nazis forced the Jews to wear yellow stars, the Star of David. They did this to make Jews feel bad and so that people would not treat the Jews well. But King Christian of Denmark did not believe that German Nazis were doing the right thing, and so he decided to wear the Star of David as well. As the minister in Billings, Montana told this story to the community decided that they too wished to do something to stand with those who had been hurt. Over the next few days, almost everyone in town bought a menorah and placed it in their window of their homes. Next to beautifully lit Christmas trees were beautifully lit menorahs. Like King Christian of Denmark, the people of Billings, Montana were telling everyone that hate was unwelcome in their town. It is, after all, a holy night whenever people resist hate. Please rise as you are willing and able to join in hymn number 221, Light One Candle. Giving of our treasure is how we reciprocate the many gifts that we are given by this community. Giving is also how we live our values in the world. Each month we share our offering, but tonight we are not sharing our offering. Our Christmas Eve worship service is a collection that is dedicated completely to the DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church's Abundance Fund. The Abundance Fund is used to support members of our church and our local community in times of need. This may mean we give gift cards for groceries or gas, pay a utility bill or rent, or in this political moment, helping with the costs of expediting passports or citizenship paperwork, or getting official documents to include the correct gender for our trans siblings. Gifts to the Abundance Fund are given and received in a spirit of generosity and gratitude. Please rise as you're willing and able to sing hymn number 245, Joy to the World. I grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, a third-generation Dutch immigrant. At the time that my great-grandparents immigrated, there was a huge explosion of Dutch immigration to that area. It's written all over the landscape of Western Michigan, the towns' names of Holland, Zutphen, Drent. For every Reformed church in America on one corner, there is a Christian Reformed church across from it, and occasionally throw in a United Reformed or a Heritage Netherlands Reformed. Even Baptist, Presbyterians, and Catholics were minorities. So when I tell you I grew up knowing nothing about the Jewish people and religion, but what I might get here and there from media, I really, really mean it. And even less about other faith traditions. And to truly understand this all-encompassing insular upbringing, you must understand that the Reformed Church, with its Calvinist theology, believed in predestination. We were God's frozen chosen. And in that frozenness is an absolutism. This Reformed theology is not evangelical, even though it's as conservative as evangelicals are. There's no need to tell other people about God, because if they were meant to know, they would already know. Now, this is not truly what the theology says, to be clear, but it's the way that the theology is enacted in the world. The Reformed Church and its followers were right, but there was no reason to tell others that they were wrong, because if God wanted to choose them, it would happen. Yes, I understand all the illogical sense about this, right? I know that this is now, as an adult, a universal truth about the community. It's more complex than that, and many Reformed folks I knew did believe in exposure to difference, but there existed a sense of elitism and separateness. It's a similar attitude that I've seen in the uprising of Christian nationalism, a sense of chosenness. Oh wait, we've heard that before. It's called manifest destiny. And the lack of dialogue is telling. There's no need to speak to others who are different because they're just wrong. It's this sort of attitude that makes it very easy to move from genuine prejudice to hate crime. The story of the hate crimes in Billings are actually true stories, and they've been repeated often over the years in many other settings. Not just towards Jewish people or indigenous people or African American people, but with Islamophobia, when communities fight to prevent a mosque being built in their neighborhoods, or in the hate against Sikh men who wear pagri head coverings. It is hate when bodily autonomy is limited and controlled. And as I think about these stories and the holiday season that we're in, I am reflecting, almost like we're in a hold your breath moment for whatever comes next. The religious educator, Sophia Lyon-Fahs, wrote many, many years ago that each night a child is born is a holy night. It's one of our most beautiful legacies that we have as a faith tradition. She wrote this in consideration of the Nativity. The night of Jesus' birth was a holy night, a night when a revolutionary was born and would bring a message of good news to the poor, the disenfranchised, the marginalized. It was a night that would foretell the toppling of empires. But what Fahs was actually saying were two different things. First, in our universalist heritage, every child is holy. It doesn't matter who your parents are. It doesn't matter your abilities. It doesn't matter your religious or cultural tradition. You are a holy child, as is every child that is born. It is what we mean when we say we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. But secondly, Fahs was saying that every night any child is born is a night in which a revolutionary can be born. For each child has the potential within them to bring forth a new world filled with love and justice, a world that brings us closer to beloved community. Or maybe not a religious leader, a revolutionary, but maybe a child who might be a political or a scientific revolutionary. Or maybe a child is born who is not a great or charismatic leader at all, but someone who simply makes the world a little bit better, a little bit nicer, a little bit more beautiful than it was. I'm reminded here of the children's story, Miss Rumphius, where she scatters lupine seeds all over, just a little bit, to make the world a better, more beautiful place. This is a story as old as time itself. It is the story of the Maccabees, a ragtag group of people defending their beliefs and way of life against an empire. The holy night in which they were touched by something beyond themselves when a small menorah was lit for 8 days on 1 day's worth of oil. A holy night. It is the story of King Christian and the Danish people who were willing to wear the yellow star of David in the face of German Nazi fascism. Denmark, by the way, saved the most Jews of any country in Europe. My own people in the Netherlands have stories of this too. It is one of the only times, by the way, that I learned about Jewish people in my childhood. These are holy actions for holy nights. This holy story of a holy night is the story of the miracles that happen when a town stands against hate, when in solidarity they light menorahs in all the windows, regardless of their own beliefs. Now, some of us may twist and turn, maybe get a little uncomfortable at the word miracle. We Unitarian Universalists love our reason and rationality, and that's okay. But as my friend and mentor, Reverend Dr. Adam Rober-Smith says, we are invited on a holy night like tonight to suspend our disbelief for 24 hours. And when we do so, when we allow for the holy nights to enter our world, the holy nights when it seems everything is too big and too difficult to overcome, and yet, on those holy nights with that disbelief suspended, we are given a glimpse of love incarnate. Love made flesh in our own bodies when the best of what humanity has to offer is pulled forth into reality and we find that spark within one another. Tonight, on this holy night, let us suspend our disbelief of the miraculous. Let us do this for our children, the light in their eyes and the joy in their laughter. Let us do it for ourselves, for our disillusioned selves who struggle to find peace in the busyness. And I'd also like us to consider the suspension of disbelief as a possible spiritual practice. Within the spiritual practice of suspension of disbelief, there's a spaciousness that opens us to possibilities that we may not yet have ever considered. It is a practice of wonder. As we rise to greet the new year and the coming season, we may be tempted to apply all our reason and rational ideas to the coming political storm and all that awaits us in the new year. And while there certainly can be hope found there, what can be missing is a connection. And that is truly where the divine light, the spark of the holy, lies, in the connection between each and every one of us. After all, each night we touch another's life is a holy night. Each night a community stands against hate is a holy night. And with all that hate coming at us and all the unknowns that lay ahead, may we find a holy night tonight, a holy night of laughter, love, and light. And may this holy night carry us forward with the strength and hope we need for tomorrow. May it be so. As is our tradition, we light our candles and sing Silent Night, Holy Night. And as we do so this evening, I invite you to contemplate the wonder and the miracle of being alive in this moment, in this time, in this place, with all of these people around us. For tonight is holy, if only because we are here together. This is one of my most favorite moments. Look around you. See the beauty of each spark that is held. It is the spark that connects each and every one of us, that brings forth the miracles of our lives. May tonight be just one of many, many holy nights for us all. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish. And finally, please rise as you are willing and able to sing with us a song to carry you on your way. Deck the halls.